Welcome back, Legion. Just want to talk to you today about progression and what happens when it actually stalls. So last week I actually haven't gained too much weight, a little bit but not too much, and this is kind of good because this is what I was expecting. Your body, the awesome thing about the body actually, that I find really intriguing is how well it adapts to different scenarios. So highly adaptable beast, and I love it. It's I think Darwin's had a principle like that. It wasn't the strongest who will survive; it'd be the most resilient or adaptable creatures are the ones who survive. So I really enjoy seeing what happens to the body, and I get to experiment it on myself, and I get to see it a lot with our clientele here. But basically, at some point, you are going to stall out, and that's all right. So what I want to talk to you today about is how you can stop that, or / when it happens, how you change it. So how you can actually continue that progression moving forward, because it's going to happen, and that's all right. So when you see here on the board, I've just written a few things down. So, what to do when you hit a plateau. You can kind of see a rough chart of my gains over time. So I started off at about 71.4 and then currently around the 76.3 at the start of this week. Okay, so one of the things that I do, and I like to do this across the board with all clientele, not just myself, is a program audit. So the program audit, I factor these couple of things in. So the first one is the training. I have a look at the training. I have a look at volume, intensity, and frequency. So what I mean by this is the volume enough or too little? Is it too much, which is possible? So my training volume's gone up a little bit. And I think you got to be careful with doing too much a lot of the time, especially when you're trying to gain weight. You know you have to eat so much in the first place. Now, to gain weight, you actually want to expend the least amount of energy you possibly can. So doing these 5 to 6 day splits, it just hasn't worked for me in the past, and I haven't really seen it work very well for most of the general population. A really good kind of analogy I thought about the other day is when you see like pretty naturally jacked guys, guys that generally have more muscle than the average bear, they tend not to work out that much and stay pretty jacked. Obviously because they're muscular, like they're quite muscly already, so they kind of don't see the need to. But they stay muscular by doing less work. It's really interesting. And then you get guys that are like quite skinny and quite lean. They always seem to be the guys in the gym all the time doing those 5 to 6 day programs, and they stay skinny. So it's almost like if you switch those mentalities around, like the big muscular guy, he can probably tolerate more work and volume. So you could probably give him some more, and he would get a lot more gains probably from doing more work. Whereas the guy who's really lean and skinny, he's going to actually benefit from doing a lot less. It's going to allow his nervous system to cool down and him to recover a lot more effectively. Another one is my intake, obviously. So getting enough and being consistent. So I think I've been pretty consistent over this. So what I looked at was enough. Am I getting enough? So I've got to the point where, I was eating enough to gain X amount of weight, which was about 5 kilos. Now I need to put some more on top of that. So that's what I've started to do. I've tried to increase just little pieces here and there. I'm not talking about, going out and eating KFC or anything like that. I'm just talking about maybe either adding a couple of bits of food here and there to meals, or actually adding in just a small meal or a snack. In particular on my days off, I just felt like I wasn't eating enough on my days off, purely because like you don't train, so you don't feel like you need to eat as much. Or maybe it's a psychological thing as well. You just don't eat as much because you feel like you haven't deserved it. The next one is stress. So I'm thinking about, is it low or is it too high, and management. So we're always going to have stress because we all work and we have relationships and things like that. So it's not about eliminating stress, because that's basically impossible. And stress is actually really important. Training is stress. So you need some form of stress in your life, and there's good and bad stuff, and we can talk about that in a different place, but ideally just trying to reduce the amount of like really bad stress most of the time, and then just managing it. So I think I've done a little bit of that. I've just tried to relax, and really leads me to the next one, the sleep. So trying to get adequate sleep, 8 hours plus. Probably not getting the 8 hours pretty consistently, but I'm definitely trying to get to bed a little bit earlier and be a little bit more efficient with my time. And then recovery. So everything above is basically recovery based. But they're talking about extras. So, doing my stretching, doing my mobility, taking my branched chain amino acids, taking my supplementation, foam rolling, all that kind of stuff. So just slowly implementing little bits and pieces here. And then the last one I want to address here is measure and assess. So the only way I know to make these changes is by measuring and assessing. So the only way I'm doing it right now is just jumping on the scales, having a look, right, what do I need to change? Have I got bigger? Have I lost some weight? Have I gained some weight? Probably next week what I'm going to do is a halfway full measurement, so I'll do girths and skin folds and I'll compare them. So halfway point, 6 weeks into a training program, what does it look like now? How have I gone? Where do I need to improve? And then what do I do moving forward? All right. That's all for today, guys. Thanks for listening. I'll see you next time.